Alright guys, I splurged on the Flexzilla 100-foot 5/8 inch garden hose, and I wanted to go ahead and run through its features and tell you why I got it. About 3 years ago I bought this 3-foot leader hose for my hose reel, and the reason I bought a new leader hose is the hose reel came with like an 8-foot cheap plastic garden hose, and it was just too long because it's like right next to my spigot. So I bought this Flexzilla one, and I've been super impressed with how flexible it is. It doesn't kink, you know, it won't twist and stay locked up. If there's any water pressure, it'll just expand it out. So we're going to get this thing out, compare it to my current garden hose, and then we're going to measure it because my grandpa bought one and he swears that it is not 100 feet long. So I definitely recommend using some kind of scissors to cut these straps off. I used a razor blade to cut the straps off of this one, and I cut the strain guard with the razor blade. I didn't cut the hose itself, but you know, you don't want to cut your expensive hose right off the rip. One thing that's going to be really nice about this is it's not going to get all super brittle and stiff when it gets cold out, I don't think, like a normal garden hose will. It's really hard to wind up and put away for the winter when it's already cold out and the hose is all stiff. Now, something I was anticipating when I bought this is that it would be really easy to roll up because it's so pliable. If you don't have a hose reel, or you're storing this for the winter, you know, you don't want something that's super stiff like a lot of the garden hoses can be. I've got the hose zip tied to my 300-foot tape measure here, and we're just going to run it out to the backyard and see if it comes in at 100 feet. There it is, 99 feet and about 9 inches. Just a little short, but it's pretty close. I wouldn't take off any points for that. With a 100-foot hose in my yard, which is a 1/4 acre, I've got a pretty deep lot. I can get anywhere with a 100-foot hose in my yard, so I'm perfectly fine with 99 feet 9 inches. So this is my existing hose, just a 100-footer I got at Sam's Club about 11 years ago. It's failing in several places. It's not leaking, which is astounding, but it is probably not far away. First, we've got the problem of it always kinking, and it kinks here, and it's extra weak here because the jacket is completely split, as you can see the inner hose. And I don't know if this is a combination of sitting out in the sun too many times while having sprinklers set up, or if it's just old age, or if it is from me leaving it out too long in the winter or close to winter in the fall and possibly freezing and expanding this enough to crack the jacket. Not sure, but it's doing it in several places, and you know, it's not fun to roll the hose up when it's doing this. Also, when you're pulling it across the yard, it wants to do this, and once it has water pressure on it, it stays like that. Now with this new Flexzilla hose, it won't do that. I've tried twisting it like this with water pressure, and you know, you can do it if you force it, but as soon as you let go, it pops back out. All these little kinks that came in it from the factory, because it was all wrapped up tight, those will all work their way out once it's filled with water pressure for a while. Let's take a look at the faucet end. You notice on my existing hose, the O-ring is a little deformed in here, and I didn't notice that, and that's probably why it was leaking inside my hose reel. The Flexzilla hoses come with this aluminum. It looks like plastic, but it's aluminum. I actually scratched some of it so you can kind of see some of the metal shininess, but it comes with a rubber O-ring instead of a traditional hose washer. And so far in my experience with the leader hose, this is a much better seal against the faucet, or against you know, if you've got a hose manifold like I've got, that seals better against that mating surface. I'm much happier with this O-ring. So that is a great benefit to this hose. Alright, so on this side I got the new Flexzilla, and on this side I have my old hose with the screwed up hose washer. And you'll see how nice this seals. No leaks. And here's my old hose with the messed up washer. Yeah, that's no good. That might be a problem. I have not had a single leak with the O-ring style washers that come on the Flexzillas, and I'm a true believer now. So something I noticed today, 2 days after I opened this hose, is that my old hose has a bigger opening in the connector itself, and in the new Flexzilla this is just under 1/2 inch, and the hose is supposed to be 5/8, and this is just under 1/2 inch opening. I don't know how that will affect how much water volume it can carry, but that is something to think about if that is important to you. I really expected my old hose to be much heavier than the new Flexzilla, but just holding them in my hands, they're pretty comparable. Alright, so simulated some kinks in the hose. We're going to turn the water on and then see how easy it is to pull out of those kinks. You know, this could happen if your hose was all wrapped up and you're just pulling it across your yard, and then each loop creates its own little kink. So let's turn the water on and see what happens. I'm just going to grab the hose and give it a pull like I'm dragging it across the yard, and they just pull right out. Pull right out. Alright, I'm going to connect the hose to my hose reel. I just got it out here in the yard for filming purposes. I don't know why they put the connection so close to the edge of the reel. It's so hard to tighten. I could go get a wrench, but if you use a paper towel, it's easier to grip. Alright, now I'm going to start winding it up, and I don't have any water pressure in this. It's never had water in it. I want you to see what happens, what I think's going to happen when I wind it up empty. Now if you can see down in there how flat the hose is, I don't think that when I turn the water on that is going to be able to fill up with full water pressure. Something I considered when I bought it, because I know how flexible it is, but also happens with older hoses. So this is a good test. So I'm going to go turn the water on and we'll see what happens. And you can hear it filling up with water. I did not expect it to fully expand like that. Huh. How about that? Now I want to know what happens if you get multiple wraps on the reel. Will it tighten it too much so that it can't expand? Alright, I got the bulk of the water out. Let's try wrapping it up. We want it to go 2 times over and back. Now we got almost 2.5 wraps. Let's see if it puffs back up when I turn the water on this time. That looks pretty flat, not quite fully puffed out like these. So I think you're going to run into an issue if you wrap this up empty. So I'm going to pull it all the way out, and then we'll see what happens when I wrap it up full of pressure. Alright, it's full of water pressure, and I pulled it out pretty far in my yard, so we're going to wrap it up and see how it does full of pressure. I'd say that looks pretty nice. Nice and coiled up like it wanted to be. That's so much easier than my old rubber one. Fought me all the way. So let's turn off the water and let the pressure out and see what it does. Alright, I got the nozzle in my hand. Just going to let out the pressure and see if it kind of deflates it all. You can see it's pretty loose, so it definitely deflated. But now, if you just pulled out a couple, 20 feet or whatever to water some plants or hose off a chair or whatever, when the water is turned back on, it's going to have room to expand, and you're not going to lose any volume. Probably wouldn't lose pressure if it was all collapsed, but you're going to lose the volume most likely. Well guys, that's it. That is the Flexzilla 100-foot 5/8 inch garden hose. It's just a garden hose. It's nothing to write home about, but Flexzilla does have a reputation for being high quality, and everything that I can see and in my experience with the shorter leader hose holds up. Parts are high quality. The rubber hose is high quality. It's not going to kink. Will it last forever? I don't know. We won't know for a very long time, but it feels like it's going to, and I expect it to last me a very long time. I think it was worth the investment, and I hope this video helped you make that decision. If you liked the video and you want to support the channel, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more content like this, please go ahead and subscribe. Thanks for watching.